Hi, it's Michelle. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Michelle. I make videos about books. Please hit the subscribe button. It really helps my channel grow. Today's video is another collab. I'm so excited about this. So my last collab was April Showers Bring Book Tears. It was books that made us cry. And this one is for May. And these are books that made us laugh. And I will say I had actually a harder time with this one because I feel like I am not a very reactive reader. Like, I just read and that's it. So this list is going to be a little bit smaller, but I have other collaborators for this video and I will put their channels down below, and definitely check out their videos as well. I'm so excited to see what everyone chose. So let's get into it. The first book is probably the most recent book that I have read for this, and this is Act Your Age, Eve Brown. So when we first meet Eve and the love interest, she literally runs him over with her car, and that shouldn't be funny, but the way that Talia Hibbert wrote this was so freaking funny that I was like kicking my legs up in the air. Like, I was live reacting to this with my friend Aoife and Brie, and I read this during the last round of Rom-Comathon, and I was just telling them all about it, even though they obviously had already read it, and I was just like, this is so funny. And this is actually my favorite of the Brown sisters, which honestly just makes sense because I feel like I am Eve in a lot of ways, and Eve, in my opinion, was the funniest. Like, she was just so fucking funny. I absolutely loved her. So if you're looking for a good time with a romance that's also spicy, and like this book doesn't look like it should be that spicy, I absolutely recommend this. It was just really funny, okay? I had a good time. The next book is something that I always recommend, especially to mothers. It doesn't matter if you have toddlers right now or you had toddlers 20 years ago. I feel like anyone who's had kids can definitely relate to this main character, and that is Finlay Donovan is killing it. The very first scene of Finlay Donovan, she is trying to get out of the house and she's like packing her bag and diaper bag, and it is just chaotic, and I have never related to something so much. And I remember starting this audiobook and just laughing because of how relatable it was to me specifically. I feel like for the most part, I try not to be a hot mess and try to like be put together. But when you have toddlers that are running around and have a mind of their own, there's like no real way to do that. So I definitely relate to Finlay Donovan as a character and as a mother. And this, to me, is the funniest one because I feel like this one has to do with her kids a lot. And definitely a lot more than the other two books. So I absolutely recommend this one, and I just think Finlay Donovan is so funny as a character, and I absolutely loved it. Cracked up at this one specifically. The next one is my only YA. But I read this book, I think it was 2 years ago now, and I read it for the Alphabet Project, which I'll put up above. But I still remember scenes from this book. And if you have read this book, the only thing I have to say is tender chicken, and hopefully you'll know what I mean and I don't have to go into it. But if you haven't read it, I was listening to this, taking myself to Target on a little one-on-one time, and I like stayed in the parking lot before going into Target so I could laugh about this book, and that is Fresh by Margot Wood. Margot Wood used to work for Epic Reads before she left and then wrote this book, and I think she went to Omni Press, and I don't know where she is now, but I know that she is fucking funny. I know that YA isn't for everyone, however this is set in college. It is the main character's freshman year of college, so she is on her own and she is a hot mess. Like, no joke, she's the hot mess bisexual, and it's enemies to lovers, but a lot more than that. It is just the main character being honestly just a fucking hot mess, and I absolutely loved it. And I never laughed so hard at a YA book because I feel like YA books can be really, really serious, But this one did not take itself seriously at all, and I absolutely loved it so much. So I cannot recommend Fresh enough, and I feel like it is such a quiet book. Like, it completely flew under the radar, but I absolutely am obsessed with this book, and everyone should read it. The next one is a sci-fi. It is the author's debut. I actually almost pulled down 2 books from this author, but in my opinion, I felt like this one was funnier, and this one is my favorite of the 2 that I have, and that is The Martian by Andy Weir. This is Andy Weir's debut, I think. I could be wrong. However, I actually had seen the movie twice before I read the book, which is something I don't really tend to like to do. Honestly, I don't watch movies a lot, but this is just something that really like caught my interest when it came out. Anyway, so you would think that knowing the character Mark Watney and like his sense of humor, I would like be used to it because I feel like it is very similar to the movie. It didn't matter. I was still cracking up about this book even though I had seen the movie twice. Like, I just feel like the way Andy Weir wrote Mark Watney was so funny. Absolutely so funny. So it did not take away that I had seen the movie and then read the book. This book is so funny and also so intense. There are a couple scenes in the book that didn't make it into the movie, so it was still like a brand new experience. And I was freaking out for Mark Watney, even though I knew what was going to happen at the end. It didn't matter. I was still freaking out. And then Mark Watney tells a joke. And I'm just like, this is so funny and so stressful at the same time. I freaking love The Martian. I love The Martian. I also love Project Hail Mary, and the only thing I'm gonna say about Project Hail Mary is fist my bump. And if you know, you know. But I do tend to like The Martian a little bit more. My last book is one book that also could have been for the last video, which this book did make me cry, but it made me laugh more. In my opinion, this is a perfect rom-com because it was funny and it was dramatic. It was all of the things that I want in a rom-com, and it was perfect, and that is The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. This book is a lot. Like, so the main character sees ghosts. So we're following her making friends with a ghost. But also her dad died. So we're dealing with that part as well. And her grief with her dad and her grief with her like falling in love with a ghost. It's just a lot, but the way this is written, this main character is so funny, and the ghost is funny. Everyone is funny in this. Like, I had a great time reading this book, and I honestly want to reread it as many times as possible because it was, like, it's one that I remember just being so funny, and like I said, in my opinion, a perfect rom-com. Like, this was perfect. Absolutely love this one. So, hold on. These are 5 books that made me laugh. And like I said, I'm not like really a reactive reader. I just sit down and read and make a resting bitch face the entire time. But these books stand out to me because they did make me react. Every single one of them made me laugh. So these are some recommendations for you for books that made me laugh. Thanks for watching my video. See you in my next one. Bye!
Losing time, I'm fading fast.